5:40 p.m. Austin rang Dr. Thomas Wilson's doorbell. Angelique stood 2 steps behind him. The 3-story home was impressive with its stone walls and large windows. A woman in her late 40s answered the door, dressed plainly in a navy tea-length dress and white apron. She had a wide forehead, accentuated by the severe bun she had pulled her hair back into. Despite the clothes and hairstyle, she was still an attractive woman. With a distinct Slavic accent, she asked, "May I help you?" "We're looking for Dr. Wilson." "He's not home. Was he expecting you?" The woman folded her arms over her chest in a dismissive manner. "No, but it is very important that we speak with him." "I'm not sure when he will return today. You will need to contact him another time." As she began to shut the door, Angelique stepped closer. "Please, ma'am, I'm Dr. McCord. It really is very important." "Angelique McCord? You are assisting Dr. Vickers with the mummy exhibit?" "Yes, my husband works at the U.S. Embassy. He should be here any moment to speak with Dr. Wilson on a very important matter." She held out her hand. "Won't you let us in?" The woman stared at Angelique's hand, which seemed odd to him. "I'm Gita, Dr. Wilson's assistant." She smiled and shook his sister's hand. "And who is this gentleman with you?" "My brother Austin." Gita's eyes narrowed. "Your brother?" "Yes." The woman had warmed instantly to Angelique, but seemed uncertain about him. She sighed and then swung the door wide. "Come in, both of you." Entering, they stepped into a foyer. An impressive Persian rug lay on top of the dark wooden floors. A pair of chairs sat side by side to their left. To their right were 3 doors along the wall. Straight ahead were stairs. "The lift is this way." Gita moved deeper into the building, passing the stairs and the 3 doors. At the end of the hall and behind the stairs was an elevator just big enough for the 3 of them. "This is quite a large place," Angelique said. "Are there more tenants here?" "Only me. My apartment is on the ground floor. Dr. Wilson's laboratory is on the floor just above us, and his residence is on the top floor." When they exited the lift, they walked into a large room that seemed ancient, though the exterior of the building had appeared quite modern. The space was filled with bookcases along every wall. In the center was a table stacked with newspapers. Next to it was a large leather wing-back chair with a well-worn seat. The air had a distinct aroma of rich tobacco. Gita guided them to a couch by a large window covered in thick, dark drapes. "Would you like some tea?" "That would be lovely," Angelique answered. She'd obviously picked up some of the English phrasing during her time in London. Gita excused herself. When she was gone, Angelique turned to him. "Isn't it odd how quickly she warmed up to us?" "Very." The woman didn't seem dangerous, but he knew looks could be deceptive. He kept his hand ready, in case the need came, to pull out the gun. Better to be on guard for the unexpected than to be ambushed. "I thought Michael would be here by now," Angelique said. Even though Austin was concerned, he tried to sound casual. "He's an important man, sis. That explosion might be keeping him busier than he thought, or someone else needed him. I'm sure he'll be here soon." He wasn't about to mention that Michael had decided to make a stop on a tip he received about the Ripper, hoping to find Commissioner Poole there too. That would worry her even more. "I hope you're right, but in light of everything that has happened, I'm still worried." He put his arm around her. "Of course you are. I'm glad you're here with me. I would not want to face this by myself." Her words, though not meant to cut him, took him back to the day he left her alone after their parents' funeral. He vowed in silence that he would never do that again. Gita returned with a full tray. "I thought you might like some biscuits to go with your tea." "Thank you," Angelique said. "Cream or sugar for either of you?" Angelique answered. "Just cream." Not being a frequent tea drinker, he didn't have a preference. "Which do you suggest?" "Sugar." "Then sugar would be fine, thank you." Gita filled one of the cups, passing it over to Angelique. She filled another and held it for him. He reached for it, noticing Gita's palm. "Your hands have the same coloring as my sister's and mine do." Gita dropped the cup. She bent down to clean the mess. Angelique knelt next to her to help. "I've never seen anyone with the same kind of hands as mine or Austin's before, ever. Where are you from?" "The coloring of my hands and feet are a result of poor circulation, nothing else." "Your feet, too?" Angelique looked at her, smiling. "Just like mine and Austin's. Gita, we might be related." "I noticed an accent," he said. "What country are you from?" "Poland, that's my country," she grinned. "And yes, many do have the same pigment on their hands and feet. Perhaps you two are Polish? You do not know your heritage?" "We're adopted," Angelique answered. This is exciting. Austin, what do you think about us being Polish? He shrugged, though he loved seeing Angelique so enthusiastic instead of worrying. Gita, when you get a cut, does it take a long time to heal? Like most in my country, I heal quickly. Angelique smiled. So do we. They heard the lift going down. That must be Dr. Wilson now, Gita said. Or maybe my husband. He wasn't about to correct Angelique that Michael would have had to ring the bell, knowing she was anxious to see him. Reaching into his jacket, he wrapped his hand around the gun. The doors of the lift opened, and an elderly man with a cane stepped into the room. Austin released the gun, but kept his hand ready. Gita, who are these people in my home? The man asked, clearly irritated. She snapped back. Your guest. Angelique stood. Dr. Wilson, I'm Dr. Angelique McCord. You may not remember me, but I went to one of your lectures at King's College, where I am now a professor. I don't remember you, but it is a pleasure to meet you again. This is my brother Austin. My husband Michael should be arriving any time. He's with the U.S. Embassy. Wilson walked to the chair by the table and sat. I'm sorry for my rude behavior, Dr. McCord, but it has been a very difficult day. Please, sit down. Thank you, Dr. Wilson. His smile seemed genuine to Austin. Dr. Wilson didn't seem capable of doing harm to anyone. What is this about, young lady? The old guy turned to Gita. Please, bring us some tea. I already have. She produced a cup and placed it in front of him. Out of sight of Dr. Wilson, Gita grinned. Austin detected a deep fondness between the two, despite their brusque behavior with one another. Dr. Wilson took a sip of the tea. Just the way I like it, Gita. Thank you, my dear. Before we get to the matters at hand, do either of you mind if I smoke? He produced a pipe from his jacket. Not at all. Do you mind, Austin? Angelique smiled. She liked Dr. Wilson, and so did he. Though I don't smoke, I do like the aroma of good tobacco. Austin, you're a man after my own heart. If you ever give it a try, I am sure you would enjoy it as much as me. But I do not recommend it. This vice has been mine for many decades. My doctor wants me to quit, but of course, that is out of the question. Dr. Wilson lit his pipe. Down to business. Dr. McCord, what brings you to my home? You said your husband is with the U.S. Embassy. I can't imagine what they would want with me. He thought about trying to stall until Michael arrived, but this old man seemed trustworthy. If not, I have my gun. My sister's husband has another Ripper letter that is addressed to you. That's why we're here. Gita groaned, collapsing into a chair by the sofa. Not another one. Dr. Wilson took a long drag on his pipe. The smoke billowed up to the ceiling. He turned to Angelique. Why does your husband have this letter? The others came directly here to me. Others? Dr. Wilson? Angelique looked surprised. The papers only talked about the one. I received a package just this morning from the killer with a note inside, and that still doesn't answer my question. Austin appreciated the man's directness. The letter her husband has was found at another murder scene. He killed someone else? Gita's eyes welled up. Dr. Wilson's hand trembled as he placed his pipe down. Has the victim been identified? Yes, Walt Turner. Gita gasped. You can't be serious. Wilson's face was full of shock. I was at Walt Turner's office this afternoon. Now I understand why he never came in to work. Austin leaned forward. You knew him? The old guy shook his head. I went to see him because I needed his approval to get tissue samples from the two mummies in the museum's exhibit that ended today. The Headless Mummies of Egypt? Yes, now I don't know what I'm going to do. What's important about these samples? Angelique asked. Everything. Dr. Wilson turned to Angelique. You said you attended one of my lectures. Yes, I did. Then you might recall my hypothesis about living hominids. Every word, sir. Years ago, I came across some evidence of their existence during an archaeological dig in Guatemala. But the local government, even though they had given us the authority to be there, destroyed the two mummies we discovered along with the documentation we'd recorded. Dr. Wilson sighed. I was the lone survivor of that tragic expedition. Despite my best efforts, nothing was ever returned. In fact, to this very day, there is no record that the dig ever occurred. Austin could see on the man's face that the incident he spoke of had left quite a mark on him. Terrible times, Dr. Wilson sighed. 5 years later, I had a breakthrough in my research, or so I thought. A colleague wrote to me about another headless mummy that had been unearthed in China. He'd witnessed the same result with his tissue sample that I had in South America. A fire in his laboratory killed him and destroyed his findings. Do you believe that someone was trying to sabotage the work? Austin asked. Most definitely I do. And 6 years ago, one of my technicians collected a saliva sample from a neighbor of his. The woman's genetic markers came out 25% of an unknown hominid species. He tested the sample 3 times to make sure before asking me to take a look at it. When I came down to the lab, the sample and his materials were gone. When I tried to locate the woman and found there was absolutely no record she ever existed, I thought the whole thing was a practical joke, so I sacked him. Now I'm thinking I made a big mistake. So you believe those 3 events are connected somehow? Angelique asked. Doesn't that sound like sabotage to you? Someone or some group does not want this information exposed. Since Dr. Wilson was sharing, he decided it was time to put all the cards on the table. He told him about waking up in the building on Murphy Street. Every detail. Dr. Wilson continued to suck on his pipe, taking his words in. Gita sat back quietly, but seemed just as interested. He and Angelique provided the details from his arrival at her flat, to being followed by Commissioner Poole, to the explosion at the safe house, to being chased by the masked men, and to getting this address from Dr. Vickers. Are you certain the man who followed you from your home was Commissioner Poole? Dr. Wilson asked. Absolutely, Angelique said. My husband has been trying to locate him all day. Do you mind if I use your phone? I lost mine in the explosion. Michael should have been here by now. Of course you may. He reached into his pocket and brought out a mobile phone. Thank you. She dialed Michael's number. Voicemail. I'm even more worried now. Austin was too. 6:20 p.m. David Bathry sat in the nearly empty internet cafe staring at the frozen image on his laptop of Austin McCord. He was desperate for a way out of this impossible situation. If he had been at his office, logging back into the facial recognition system would have been simple. Any new hits on McCord through the closed-circuit cameras around the city would have been picked up, but he could not take the risk. The Morvicti could easily trace him that way. He knew he was running out of time and could not stay here much longer. Octavian soldiers would be coming for him. He needed an answer, a plan, something. Trembling, he held his mobile. There was one contact he had, but he dreaded ringing him. For the first time in his life, he felt real fear. The continued existence of his bloodline was at stake. More importantly, so was his life. I don't have any other choice. The number was not contained in his contact list. That was forbidden. But being Morvicti, he would never forget it. He punched in the digits. Hello? The voice sent a chill down his spine. This is David Bathry. I was expecting your call. Seems you've created quite the stir. A menacing laugh followed. I'm sorry to ring you, Your Grace. Are you? The Brotherhood has been good to you, David. We have supported your bloodline for centuries since the Reprehensible Act, but this particular mission was your father's construct, not ours. The Reprehensible Act, as it was called by the faithful, had pitted the Bathry bloodline against the Drakes. The act occurred immediately after the uprising of the poor, doomed bloodline, the Stulcooks. If they had triumphed, Bathry imagined the world would be a much better place than it was now. The Stulcooks had followed the old ways, believing not only that the Morvicti were the superior species, but also that humans should know that they were, and fear them. Your Grace, I beg you, have mercy on me. I need your help in this matter. David, the leader of the Brotherhood said in a parental tone, we have helped you. Your decision to send our soldiers to coach in horses was a disaster. We are now exposed. May I remind you of the chaos and havoc we suffered after the uprising of the Stulcooks. But, Your Grace, there were some victories during those years. The unrighteous Drakes, the most royal of all, were at the brink of extinction. And so was every other bloodline, David. You, like your father, are a hammer. But what the Brotherhood needs in this age are scalpels. Please, Your Grace, I'll do anything you ask. You Bathrys are all alike, ready to cast your lot with whatever side you believe is winning. While your father prized loyalty above everything, your bloodline as a whole believes survival triumphs other virtues. I know that until a clear victor emerges, few Bathrys will dare swear fealty to the Brotherhood. I'm sorry, David. You're on your own. The line went dead, and Bathry's hope vanished. Damn him! Damn him to hell! He closed his eyes, recalling how his bloodline's hate for the Drakes began. His grandfather, then head of their bloodline, recognized that there were innocents in the war between the Stalkuks and the noble bloodlines. He agreed to hide the Drake royal children in the sanctuary of the Forgotten, knowing that no one would choose to look there if they didn't have to. Roxana Drake had lived among the Bathrys for 10 years. She lived in the darkness of the sanctuary for the entire time, not allowed to come and go like the Bathrys. She learned to navigate the labyrinthine passageways. She supposedly even helped with the prisoner feedings, although Bathry had trouble believing the fair princess would dirty her hands. Bathry's father, a young man himself then, had fallen madly in love with Roxana. Simon hung on her every word. She expressed her melancholy over not being able to see her favorite flower, and the next day Simon brought her a large bouquet of them. She mentioned her boredom with the plain meals, and Simon snuck in some richer food for her. Even though the differences in their stations were vast, the war was the great equalizer. And the attraction was not one-sided. Every favor of kindness his father paid her, Roxana accepted with open arms and tender kisses. Once the revolt had been utterly crushed and not a single Stalkuk walked above ground, Roxana left the sanctuary of the Forgotten, but their romance continued in secret. Promises were made to each other, but only his father kept his. Roxana, the bitch liar, had broken every one of hers. Following the plan they had agreed upon years earlier when she became queen, Simon requested an audience with the Imperial Morvicti Council. There, in front of the heads of the most powerful bloodlines, Simon opened his heart and professed his love for Roxana. Simon also asked for the Stalkuk seat, which had been vacated by that bloodline prior to their rebellion. Roxana acted shocked and rebuked his father in front of the entire gathering. Her poisonous words that day filled Simon's heart with hate for the Drakes. "You love me? How ridiculous! I'm a Drake. You're a Bathry, Simon, confined to the sanctuary of the Forgotten. There is no bloodline as low as yours. I could never love you, and I promise that you will never have a seat at this table." The sting of that disgrace never vanished. With the passage of time, it festered and grew until his father was consumed by it. Bathry's own hatred for Roxana and the entire Drake bloodline permeated every part of him. "I wasn't even born when it first started, and yet here I am, head of the bloodline, dealing with the fallout." Skirmishes between bloodlines continued, though these days they were never full-fledged attacks held in open view. Instead, the hatred amounted to kidnappings of young nobles, blackmail, or slander. In 2003, members of one bloodline held a nephew of the head of one of the noblest families hostage. Release for such hostages normally was a payout of territory, which was usually granted. His bloodline fought their enemies more covertly. Jack's first mission to cut off the captured nephew's head had failed, but because of the precautions they'd set up, no one had ever learned of his bloodline's involvement. His father's plan had been clear: wait for the Queen to go below ground, resurrect the Ripper, gain the killer's trust and prepare him, then send the half-blood to slice the throats of one child in each of the royal bloodlines for grievances stemming from even further in the past than Roxana's. Locate the Drake bloodline sanctuary, send the monster to remove the head of the Queen from her body, finally return the Ripper to his cell. The Imperial Morvicti Council would never know, but at long last, justice would be served for the reprehensible act against his bloodline. Bathry had followed his father's every step to the letter, waiting patiently to set things in motion. The Queen remained above ground until 2002, when her body finally surrendered to the long slumber. Slipping Jack's body out of the sanctuary of the Forgotten to the underground cage came easily. Discovering the Drake bloodline sanctuary had been much more difficult, but he had succeeded after he found video feeds of Poole and Octavian Drake's brother going in and out of a building on Murphy Street. Then, the plan had begun to unravel this very day. Jack had beheaded Romulus Drake, but had left without killing the Queen. Why? What had distracted him from his mission? McCord? But the cracks in the scheme continued to appear. Octavian Drake, the current king, knew the imposter in the Ripper's cell was not Jack. "I had no choice but to act when Octavian came down the ladder." Bathry could not let the truth escape the sanctuary, and that meant Octavian and Poole had to die the eternal death. Albert had gotten the jump on Poole, but the fool had arrived with only a stake and no backup. Octavian had pulled out a pistol and shot Albert. "I ran, but what other choice did I have?" Octavian's driver had turned David's direction when he exited the building, but before the bastard had gotten out of the limo, he had shot him. His options now were limited. The Brotherhood had been unsuccessful at Coach and Horse's Yard. McCord and his sister had gotten away. The forged Ripper suicide letter would have no impact without Austin McCord's corpse to support it. 5 of the Brotherhood had been shot. Without the Brotherhood, that left David only 2 of his own servants to send to kill Octavian. Not the best of odds. If Octavian found a way past his 2 trusted men and escaped the Sanctuary of the Forgotten, all hell would break loose. How do I keep Octavian from sounding the alarm to the Imperial Morvicti Council and the other bloodlines? Once again, Bathry turned his attention to the image of Austin McCord. What are you to Octavian Drake? And why didn't the Ripper kill you when he had the chance? He pounded his fist on the desk. 3 computers over, a teenager with multiple facial piercings briefly looked up and then returned to his online game. The woman in the image standing next to Austin was Dr. Angelique McCord. After identifying the doctor, it had been easy enough to discover who her brother was. Austin McCord had been reported killed in action in 2003. He was certainly not dead, so he must be Morvicti. A Drake? Except for Octavian, none above ground had known the bloodline lineage of Jack the Ripper. Until today. Jack is a Drake. Are Jack and McCord working together? A sudden flash of inspiration shot through Bathry. That's it! He ran his fingers over McCord's face on screen, which was quite handsome by any measure. You're my answer. Thanks for watching Morvicti Blood, Episode 15, Jack the Ripper's True Lineage. I hope you'll like and share and subscribe and hit the notification bell. New episodes are dropping every Monday and Friday. But if you want more now and haven't watched the full 8-part sequel, Morvicti Execution, it's already live. Start there to witness the betrayal that set everything in motion. Want to read ahead and uncover secrets not yet shown on screen? The full novel, Morvicti Blood, is available now on Amazon. You'll find the link in the description if you dare. I hope you'll leave a comment. What do you think? What creeped you out? Who do you think survives? I'm going to read every comment, and I'm going to try to answer every comment or question that you have. For early access, bonus episodes, and forbidden lore, join our inner circle, Bloodbound, at patreon.com/Lee Swift. Until next time, keep your lights on, stay quiet, and whatever you do, don't answer the knock at your door.